Hey folks, welcome back to another video. There we are. This is going to be a challenge. This is a beautifully made, quite old, and quite well loved and used kilt, the relic of the customer's late father, and she's brought this to me because she would like to wear it in his memory. But it's going to be very challenging. I'm going to continue with my usual stream of thought processes here, but we can see from the inner apron, you can see that this cloth has faded, and generally with modern dyes, you don't see that much anymore. So I'm going to get back to her and ask how old she believes this to be, because from there was a label there, but it's gone now. I think it's quite old. It's maybe the 1950s, maybe earlier. And it's been pleated to the set. As you can see, this is a huge set. This is 13-inch set. That's big. That's really big. So the person who sewed it, who did a beautiful job, has sewn to the half pleat, or the half set, as they say, because at 13 inches, if you were pleating to the set, so each pleat being half of 13, 6.5 inches deep, you wouldn't be very many pleats, and they'd be insanely deep. So they've quite ingeniously pleated it. And generally, when I see, when we look at the back, generally when I see an uneven pleating across the back, I deliberately don't think too much about it, because I don't want to understand somebody's thought process when they've usually messed it up. But this isn't. This is the unavoidable result of correctly pleating a very, very large, and successfully completing a very, very large set. So so I'm going to spend some thought here to try to understand their process, because there's something to actually be learned here, as opposed to something to be avoided. The other characteristics we have, this top band is very, very thin, and I haven't pulled the canvas up yet. Let me pull the canvas to see how deep it is on this side. Let's look underneath. Oh, it's not very deep at all. And it's been machine sewn. I got to use my old man zoom here to. Geez, I can't even see this seam. Okay, there it is. It's very shallow. I'm not confident whether I'll be able to reuse that. I may have to find something, an alternate, something to replace that. But again, the workmanship is first rate. I mean, we see the buckle tabs, which are arranged so that they mirror the arrangement of the pleats that they're laying upon, and we have the sporn strap loops, which again are camouflaged, as it were. Now let's take a look at our pleats, starting with the outside pleat, just to see if they match. Yeah, this is interesting, because this is about the only thing I can criticize, is these things aren't symmetric. There's the center line of the back of the kilt. This loop is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pleats over, and this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pleats over. Don't know why, but everything else is so beautifully done that I'm just going to pass on that. Okay, so the pleats are symmetric left to right. There's not a tremendously deep apron pleat on either side, but you come to expect that. This has had a pocket sewn onto the inner apron, usually for a flask or a thin, like a card case or something like that. And I don't like these. Other people might, but I don't like these because the tendency is to overload them, to put rather too much in them, and then the apron sags against your private parts, and it's not a good look. So I don't think, I'll ask her about that, but I really don't want to replicate that. Now we're missing a strap. Sorry, we're missing a buckle. The buttonhole is considerably eroded. In fact, it's actually fringed edge. It's so beaten up. So, not exactly sure what I'm going to be able to do with that, because that's the most eroded I've ever seen on a buttonhole. And the bar tacks, even that bar tack on the top is actually gone. But okay. Bit of erosion here. You can see it's a bit threadbare just right there, and that could be the result of a sporran strap, or the corner of the sporran or something, because I don't see it. It's not symmetrical. I don't see it on the other side. But in any case, there's sort of a weak spot there, so I'm gonna have to find a way to reinforce that. I can't sew a patch on top, but because, let's see now, this kilt, this gentleman was a 44, almost a 45 waist. Geez, it would fit me. And his seat measured 50. The length of the kilt is 26 and a half. So either the kilt had been tailored to the old fitting, where the kilt was practically up, the top of the kilt was practically up under your armpits, a very, very long, very, very long kilt. And there were historical reasons for that. And even after the reasons became irrelevant, people still tailored that way because you're used to seeing it a certain way. But her height, having measured her, it's going to be 21 inches. So that will be the top of the kilt. It's a pity because that eroded part is still in the part we're keeping. But with this reserve of cloth, perhaps I can cut a patch from the leftover cloth and match it perfectly. Let's say from I'm not sure where I could get it, but match a piece that's exactly the same as this, but sewn on the underside and then sort of quilted down to reinforce that. And it won't be invisible, but it'll be a neat, professionally done patch. Now, her measurements, this is a 44-45. Her measurements are 38 waist and a 45 seat. So if we take it down to here, 25, okay, that would be an a very tiny apron, not flattering at all. And the other thing too, when we look at the physiques of these two people, we have a very tall masculine figure, and we have a somewhat less tall, extremely feminine figure. I could literally compare this to Kirk Douglas and Jane Mansfield. So it's going to be a real challenge to alter this. And I think really what I'm going to have to do, it isn't just a matter of decreasing the width of the pleat, decreasing the width of the aprons. I really think that I'm going to have to completely disassemble this, mark the center of each pleat with a back stitch of cotton thread, just to show me where the center of each pleat is. Press it completely flat, and then recalculate pleat widths at hip and waist to accommodate her figure, because although, again, you know, because 99%, almost all of it, and higher than that, is tailoring for the male figure. But to tailor for the female, and when I'm tailoring for the male figure, you've heard me say several times that we don't want the apron smaller, narrower than the horns of the pelvis, because then we're in tartan skirt country. Well, with this, we are deliberately making an expedition into tartan skirt country, but it also must look flattering. And I think rather than go for a too small, more feminine front apron, I'm going to go for a wider front apron that's closer to 50%, because, of course, having said that, I can't logically defend it, but my knee-jerk reaction is no. Let's go for a wider one. So I'm going to be calling her back for at least a couple of fittings here, but and I'll ask her opinion on as we go along, because, you know, it's her kilt. Beautiful cloth though. There's one other couple of characteristics. They're using tailor's canvas rather than otherwise. I imagine that there may be a strip of canvas in here. We'll find that out. A narrow strip connecting the two buckles. But tailor's canvas, and then this rather nice, it's a very light cotton drill. It's yeah, and the interesting thing too is that this is the inner apron lining. The cotton drill is twice the width it should be. It was, or at least what I considered it should be. They've made it out of a double wide piece. Can't explain that, but it's something for me to think about, because quite frankly, I'm prepared to learn. If someone's got an intriguing and therefore possibly better way of doing things, I'm quite open to suggestions. Last thing, because you've seen how I sew the lining around the buttonhole, where I cut a slit with two Y incisions on either end. In this, which I've seen elsewhere, this isn't uncommon. They've sewn the outer apron lining and then cast a seam so that the gap in the seam lands at the buttonhole. And I prefer my way. I'm starting to appreciate this more, because I don't think one way is particularly faster than the other or better than the other. So some people do it this way. I admire the workmanship. The stitching is wonderfully fine. But I wonder, I don't know, somebody came up with this idea and it works for them. Maybe I'll try it in the future. I don't know. One other thing, this has 1, 2, 3, 4 loops, presumably for hanging the kilt, although it just seems odd. If I had those 4 loops, I would expect to see, for hanging, I'd expect to see some out here, but we have those. I'm going to take pictures of all of this stuff. Oh, well, wait a minute. Haha, I've just recorded all of this stuff, but I see no reason for this, because I'm not going to encourage her to hang the kilt, but rather to roll it and put it away in my fashion. Okay, so having covered that, I'm going to shut the camera off and get back to work on this. I might give her a call, because it has taken me quite a while to work my way down to this kilt on my waiting list. So I'm being very careful because you can see, in addition to sewing, I can see a sewing machine. It's been sewn with a sewing machine there, but I can also see several repairs where the canvas has come loose and somebody's sewn it back again, and they're all in, shall we say, varying levels of professionalism. I'm being careful because, okay, I'm being slightly careless there. with old cloth like this, the great fear, I mean, this canvas is quite ripe. This drill is quite ripe. It's as you can see, it's eroded away there. And even with moderate care, it's tearing rather than just coming away. I've already determined that the stitching is all natural fibers, because I think this kilt was made before the introduction of synthetic thread. So the thread is a little bit ripe as well. You can see it's pulling out of that sewing machine line there. I can be a little reckless up here because, again, we're going to be shortening this kilt. She really doesn't want a kilt that comes all the way up to her top collar button. That would look a bit silly. My heart's kind of in my mouth as I try that. Okay. There's the line, center section of the lining out. I'm going to hang on to this cloth, if no good reason really, but you can see how they've described the arc of the lining by putting in darts, 4 darts there. Okay, we'll put that to one side. Now I'm anxious to see what is under this canvas. I can feel that they've cut it, they thinned the back out in the usual fashion. Yeah, I don't dare try to rip down this seam because it seems to be sewn with a slightly heavier grade of thread. No, chance of ruining the tartness is too great. But it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful palette. I have another client, a soldier I once served with. Hello, Vince. Who's been asking about a kilt in the Seaforth tartan, or in the Mackenzie Seaforth tartan. He has his regimental kilt that I made, I don't know, 20 odd years ago, 20, 25 years ago. And he's making a determined effort to slim back down so that he can wear the thing again. But he wants another kilt to just quote knock around him. So I think I'm going to invite him by and let him see this palette and see if he likes it, because then we can order some cloth from Dalgleish. And again, it's absolutely wonderful that DC Dalgleish will weave anything, and the minimum order is only 4 yards. It's tremendous. Okay, see? I have to open this up. This is rather like an autopsy, isn't it? We're taking a peek inside and a bit of a rummage around to see what we can learn. Actually, no, a biopsy, because we intend to put this together and have it resume its life. Okay. Again, beautiful quality of stitching. Yeah, see, we have this narrow piece of linen tape, and it's a twill weave tape, and it's exactly 1 inch wide. Obviously woven specifically for that purpose, and generally you see tape like that in trousers. But again, this person was professional. Okay, come on. It's a few days before Christmas, so what's today? 22nd? So I gotta do this and then start making the apple brose, taking the oatmeal, honey, and water, and putting the oatmeal into soak so that I'll have some brose to serve people on Boxing Day. This is beautifully made. Hope my head is not blocking the view. Be very careful, because I can, as old as that is, I could recycle that tape. Not perhaps not in something that I would turn around and sell somebody, but you know, I might be making a set of trousers for myself or something like that, because I am learning how to make trousers and coats from my associate. Again, this is the opposite of fast fashion, isn't it? Okay, so they've get in there. That's about the only disappointing thing, is that I don't consider that an effective join between the two canvases. And the same here, for that matter. I mean, look at this. This is beautifully done. In fact, I'll take a picture. I'll stop the camera and take a picture of that before I disassemble it, because it's worthy of being recorded. Yeah. Dare I? Yeah, see, the canvas is just coming to bits. Beautiful stitching. It's got to be like 12 stitches per inch. Oh, come on. Yeah. You see all this lint gathered down where the seam had been. That tells me that this kilt is pretty old. I'm going to be able to... Straps are a bit messed up. I might be able to reuse them, but it might be a better idea to make new straps. Yeah, see, a super narrow top band. I tend to make them a bit wider. Come on. Yeah, I'll do my darndest to recycle that top band. Take a bit of work, but... There we go. Yeah, see, once again, two... Oh no, that one's... No, this one also is a double thickness. Huh, pity about that lost label, though. I'd give something substantial to know who made this. We're seeing on the other side. Is this coming loose? I will reuse this buckle tab. Come on. Again, relatively nervous about tearing the cloth. You coming loose? Pardon me. I'll have to ask her if she wants the sporran strap loops, because I didn't ask her if she intended to wear this as a kilt with a sporran or as a kilted skirt without a sporran. Okay, that's a really good quality buckle, and there's a maker's mark on it. Tiny little anchor. That's a beautifully made buckle. Right. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Pardon me. So today, was it yesterday? Today is the 22nd, so this is the solstice. This is the shortest day of the year, which to me means I sort of regard solstice as New Year's, because after solstice the days start getting longer again, so that's how I reason it anyway. That's the whole point of the midwinter festival, is waiting for the sun to come back, isn't it? Okay, come on. I'm actually feeling rather than seeing, as the sensation of the, I believe it's cotton, on my seam picker feels different than the feeling of the woolen yarns or the cloth. But still, it's fairly anxiety producing. I'm saving all these bits and bobs. Okay. Yeah, you see that bit of tape there. Again, beautifully sewn. But I'm going to take a picture. That's an interesting little tack, which I don't recall seeing before. So I'm going to take a picture of that with the thought of perhaps incorporating that into my future work. This hasn't. The steeking's pretty much gone. I'll have to redo that. But of course, I'm redoing the whole thing, aren't I? Okay, I'm going to take a break. Happy solstice, Saturnalia, midwinter, good Yule, all of that. And we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.